Our panelists for today, as they vie for the seating preferences, we have Julia Marie Cassidy, entrepreneur, Peace City Bakery, also Salem Oak Vineyards and Sweet Mary's Chocolate. We have Kim Gattuso, owner of KG Consultants, and Dave Yellen, COO of Inspira Medical Center in Mannington. A round of applause before they say anything. We appreciate them being here today and participating in this. We're just going to do a rapid fire exercise first, and we're just going to go in order, starting with Julia and then Kim and then Dave. Answer this question quickly, rapid fire, don't think about it. Your preferred means of receiving communication?
Text.
Telephone?
Dave, going backwards, your preferred means of sending a communication?
Oh, texting. I don't want to talk to you.
I'm calling you.
Calling back.
Okay, starting with Julia, how do you pick up your day's news?
When I wake up on my phone already given to me.
I like the newspaper.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Apple News on my iPhone.
Okay, starting with Dave, when reading a book, when reading a book, do you prefer hardcover, paperback, ebook, audiobook, or not at all?
Hardcover on the beach.
Paperback.
Ebook, I never know where I am.
Okay, starting with Julia, how do you observe someone's birthday? Do you prefer to use e-card, Facebook, phone call, text, a shoebox card, or Hallmark, or something else?
Obnoxious phone call.
I do phone calls or text, sometimes Facebook, but if I genuinely care, there's about 10 people who still get cards.
Oh, that was nice. Facebook exclusively.
Okay, this is right up Dave's alley here. What is your clothes shopping preference? Online, catalog, in a store, other?
In-store except for Amazon underwear.
Kim?
I am very in-store, however, if I like it, I will go online and get the Rakuten free money by getting it in different colors.
Julia?
Online and thrifting.
Okay, what is your car shopping preference, starting with Julia? Online, dealer, direct, or in person?
In person.
I have an appointment later today in person to get one.
Negotiating the price in person.
Okay. We're going to start with Dave on this one. How do you prefer to see a hit movie, like Barbie, I'm sure you went there, or Oppenheimer, in the theater, streaming, HBO, or similar venue?
Netflix, Prime, all that. I'm not going to the movies.
Same, anywhere on my couch or someone else's couch.
If it's a new movie like Barbie, we dressed up like Barbie and went to Barbie.
Okay, Julia, how do you listen to music in your car? AM, FM, Sirius, from your phone via Bluetooth, or something else?
Bluetooth from my phone.
I pay for Sirius because I hate commercials and the same song 30 times a day.
That's right. Sirius, 7 on 70s.
And 60s on 6?
60s on 6. And every once in a while, lithium.
Grateful Dead 23. Dave, when texting, do you abbreviate, do you use text language, or do you employ the King's English?
Full English.
King's English as well, and periods, double space still.
There you
Can't
go.
stop it.
Double space.
Julia?
Abbreviations. And
Okay.
no periods. Those are negative.
Or vowels. Or vowels.
Let's go back to Julia. What was the first major national or global event or crisis of which you were aware? For me, it was the JFK assassination in 1963. What was yours?
9/11.
The Berlin Wall at the end of the Cold War.
The premiere of Batman on color TV. Mr. Stokes' house on the block.
The Adam West version, right?
Adam West, absolutely.
Do you ever watch them now and wonder what you saw on it then?
Zow, boom.
Okay, Dave, do you use social media on a personal level or professional level? And if so, what media?
Prefer Facebook, LinkedIn, I recently got turned on to
Reddit.
Reddit. See, I'm a boomer. What can I tell you? So very, very interesting site.
I do both, but I actually prefer none of them. If I don't have to do it, I don't want to. I'll call you. I'll see you tomorrow. Come over for dinner.
For our particular businesses, pictures are worth 1,000 words. We want to, people want to see what we're making. So Instagram primarily and Facebook as well.
Okay. Let's jump to some deeper questions here, and I'm going to ask each of you to answer this in succession. We'll start with Julia. What is a perfect day at work, and what's it look like for you?
Perfect day is going into work, kind of having a game plan. There's always going to be some bumps in the road, but being able to work those out and not leave work with a problem or work until that problem's fixed. And having some time for extracurriculars like playing with my dog, going for a hike, outside activities.
Kim, what's your perfect day working?
0 interruptions during my day.
Mine is clearing out the emails and voicemails to go home.
You're not interrupted. There's so much time.
Let's go in reverse order here. Dave, I know where you live, so I probably know the answer to this question. But what's your perfect day not at work?
Not at work is on the beach in Ocean City, just enjoying the sound of the ocean.
Kim?
Mine's poolside. I don't really drink, but I do like to float with a very iced coffee in a pool, just living my best life.
Julia, when you're not at work, what would be your perfect day?
Go ahead, Julie.
On the top of a mountain with no cell service.
I think you can win most of the room on that one. Julia, what has been your difficulty in dealing with the older generation?
I speak on behalf of my mom. The biggest thing is just learning, the acceptance of learning that some things have to change and that some of this change is for the better, understanding that there's a more sensitivity in the workplace, and those two are the biggest things.
Kim, when you have to deal with the older generation, what is it that challenges you?
The lack of tech knowledge, but telling you how to use it, and you're like, no. And the micromanaging. There's so many boomers that are just making sure you're doing it right, and it's kind of like, well, I thought your parents were the silent generation. Why are you up my butt right now? So. I feel attacked. I love you so much.
I love you, Mom.
Dave, you are the older generation, but you have gone through the workplace for 40 years. What were some of the challenges that you faced with those generations ahead of you?
Everybody gets a trophy is a tough one because there's always that recognition that you always have to give out. Our generation really didn't have a lot of recognition. You just did it and you worked and moved forward. So everybody gets a trophy generation, I call them.
Okay, now when you have to deal with this Gen Z coming into your enterprises, what are the challenges and difficulties you faced with them?
Really identifying for them what makes them happy at work and work-life balance. We have a lot of residents that are coming out of residency, and they're always looking for that work-life balance. I want to be home by 5. I don't want to work weekends, et cetera. So it's really finding them, making their job to fit their needs as opposed to a structured job that they have to fit into.
When I first got employed, I remember a guy telling me when I moved into administration, you're only going to work half days, 8 to 8. Kind of been the story. Kim.
This is a question I've really thought about. And everything that annoyed me about millennials or Gen Z is their simple disrespect for anybody else who works there. They knew that they had to work in the morning and stayed up late watching Netflix, called out, and now everyone else takes the burden. They show up with iced coffee in their hand 15 minutes late, and then every month aren't like, where's my substantial raise? And you're like, where's your effort? Like, there is no balance. It's just very selfish, and that's hard to be like, can you not? Can just do your job, and then we'll high five. Like, just, that selfishness is hard. And Gen Z is worse than millennials when they first came in, and I was still pretty young when millennials started. Sorry, Julia.
Okay, Julia, I'm not going to ask you to defend a generation now
No, no,
after
no,
those
no.
comments, but
I
you
get
have
it.
to deal with younger people as well, I am sure, in your enterprises. What are you finding difficult?
I think for being a 96 baby, I see both the Gen Z and the millennial. I would agree with the both of you. I think there's this whole new level of sensitivity in this whole new me generation and instant gratification that just cannot, as much as we can try, it really can't be completely satisfied in a workplace. There's that, they want to be friends with you, but then, you become friends with them and, all of a sudden you're my boss. So that workplace separation, everybody wants to be friends outside of work, just a whole new level of sensitivity. But yeah, there's no holding them responsible for their actions and their ways.
I'm going to throw this one over to Dave, and then we'll work our way across. But you are part of a very large organization that has very formalized policies and so forth. Probably 16 4-inch binders sitting on a shelf somewhere, I understand. But what policy changes do you think are highlights of your organization in order to deal with generational differences?
Sure. Well, being in a hospital, obviously, everything has to be cleanliness and making sure that everything is clean and so not spread disease. So fingernails that's a big one, is that you got to deal with the long fingernails and measuring them. Hair color is now acceptable because you can't hire without somebody having a purple or pink hair color itself. And so I would agree there. And tattoos. Tattoos used to be, we'd have to cover full length, but put a bandage on it, et cetera. So, but all of those now are acceptable within, because we have to, as we're recruiting, we know that that's really this generation, and we need to continue to support that and to have the jobs available for them.
Kim, you've been in the mid-sized kind of corporate enterprise. What accommodations formally had to be made in the organization?
HR had a whole lot to kind of grasp onto of like, okay, they have feelings and they're not only going to talk about their feelings, they're going to express that you should feel a certain way. And so a lot of HR changes in how you express yourself, and that it's okay to, and that we had to hire a fun coordinator, just trying to really work through making them happy and having them want to work for us versus, Google with their trampolines.
I want to be the fun coordinator.
You do amazing.
Oh, God. Julia, you have a much smaller enterprise and maybe don't have as many formal policies as the other two do, but what have you had to do in that policy vein?
So the biggest policy that we probably enacted that my mom did is Matthew, don't kill Julia, and Julia, don't kill Matthew. But we really didn't have a lot of employees until actually the pandemic. Because of the pandemic, we grew from 5 employees to 28 employees just throughout that pandemic. So we had to, during that part, not only are we growing business-wise, but now we have to grow, formally as a business as well. The biggest thing that we actually did during the pandemic with a lot of our younger hires is I had what I called campfires. At the end of every shift, we had like a debriefing. We actually had, name a pro, name a con, and name something that might help you do your job better. And then we would, do that after any like Saturday shift, a very long shift, just kind of catering towards that, but also some of the same lines as well with theirs.
Very good. I'm going to start with Kim on this one. I'm picking on you. What have you learned about yourself in dealing with the younger or older generation?
Younger generation, I have to find the empathy. I have to find the sympathy, and I have to bring the patience in. About myself, when it comes to the older generation, I feel like I know it better than you. I do this every day. Stop telling me how to do it. So my level there is just trying to still give them the respect with also patience. So, most Gen X, we're all the same. Did your job? Cool. You didn't do your job? Go do it. Cool. Like it's literally that. So the patience with all the feelings and the patience with I'm telling you how to do it, but I've never done it a day in my life. It's just that patience, and I had to find it. I had to dig it out.
Dave, Yeah, I realize that you are in what we call the twilight of your career. You've got a week left.
Correct. The last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, correct.
Remember, those 2 minutes can go on for 40.
Right.
But what have you learned about yourself in dealing with the younger generation in your case?
To be empathetic, to understand. I was a coach through all the kids intramural programs. So from my perspective, it was to making sure that you understood what they wanted and needed, and to have some empathy and understanding of that, because they are our future generation, and they're going to be taking care of me in my nursing home.
They're currently cheating on their exams at the college online. She first started eating salad.
Julia, you don't have a great deal of younger generation to lean on, but what have you learned about yourself in dealing with people from older generation or younger?
As terrible as it is to say, I don't mind games. The biggest thing is we kind of learn to filter. So we've learned to do, when like somebody older than us tells us how to do it, you don't argue. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah. But then you go and do it a different way. You don't have to articulate it as long as the job gets done and into the capacity that it was supposed to be. You just do it. And then with the younger generation, a lot of them come to you with complaints. They come to you with things. And, you just filter out what you think is important, and, you just take it in because you're that vessel for them to talk to. And if anything serious, you deal with that. But that's kind of like the biggest thing. We're kind of in the middle, don't know which way to go, but you can't step on anybody's toes either.
Yeah.
A couple of other quick questions. Kim, I'm going to start with you again.
Sure.
What do you need another generation to understand about the world of work? And you can go either side of it.
It's called work for a reason. I mean, if it was called lounging on the couch, then you wouldn't be expected to do anything. You would just have to lounge on the couch. But you get paid to perform a service. And we understand as leaders that there is the minimal service, the maximum service, and the in-between of I showed up every day and I did work that I could do within an 8-hour period, and I took my lunch and I took my breaks. And I just really, really wish they understood it's not fun time that they just give you money for. It's work. It's a workplace, professionalism, and there's a job to do. And I don't want to have to high-five you throughout 8 hours because I have my own job to do. So I think Chris said the complete recognition on a continual basis. I have 8 hours in a day and you have 8 hours in a workday, but I have to high-five you for 6 of them, so I now have 12 hours in my workday to make up for your fun time. And that's the hardest and the most important thing is just realize that work is work. You're getting paid to do something, not to just be awesome. I mean, we all have the personality hires, right, where they come in, their KPIs are not met, but they keep the team on point. One, not all of a team has to do that.
Dave, you have anything more upbeat than that?
I'm sorry.
Well, my son, the CPA, he's 38 years old, and he said to me, Dad, he said, when you got out of college and you started to have a family, you managed your assets. He goes, my generation, we manage our debts and liabilities. And he goes, and that's the difference. And so I have to understand that and be empathetic and understanding of that too, because this generation under us really it's debt laden with liability, credit card debt, college debt, et cetera, that's there. So my son, the CPA, taught me something.
We could have a whole seminar on debt, but we're not going to today. Julia, how do you respond to that? Do you want to convey to another generation what work really means?
I would probably say that, it's terrible. It could be my generation. There's McDonald's, there's corporate worlds, there's this, that, and the other thing. It's okay if that first job, it's not going to be your job for the rest of your life. But if you keep working those relationships in that first job, and if you treat it with all of your, might, that could inspire to something else. That could lead you to connections to something else. I mean, just simply having our winery, there's people that I've just met 10 years ago, and they were in my wedding. that they are like grandparents, or that they've helped me and my brother in many aspects professionally and personally, and sometimes just, this might be your stepping stone in life. It's not your forever, but that might help you get to your forever.
Very good. I appreciate that. Now, this is the bonus question to close out the program. If you could belong to any other generation than the one you belong to, what would it be? And we'll defer to seniority on this one. Dave?
Oh, great, terrific. I'd say the silent generation. They're really a very proud generation. They saw a lot of huge growth, economic growth, and the actual America that we are so proud of was built that way. And so that silent generation speaks to me. And so does Elvis Presley.
Grateful Dead. I can't go to the president. Kim?
I would also go one generation up. If I was in my early 20s and the early 60s, women were finally in the workforce. Segregation was kind of dissipating. They were really revolutionizing music. I love 60s on 6. I can't picture myself as a hippie, but just morals were celebrated and expected. I feel like that's where I would fit in well. But also, I can't imagine having music that sounds like it does now and being like, rock on. Which is I can't. And I like their clothing. Women really started to come into clothing because they were in the workforce, unfortunately, due to the Vietnam War situation. But that really had and forced people to open their eyes about other options in the workplace.
Julie, if you can belong to another generation, where do you go?
My brother and I actually deliberated this question together, as twins do. And we both agree that we would like to join the silent generation. We are old souls, which is why I kind of hard relate with some of my generations. We are really proud of our work. We're really proud of, the things that our ancestors did, or, just helping build off what our parents started with our family business. And we want to carry that legacy.
Okay, and now I throw it to you, the three of you. Is there anything that we didn't hit today that you thought should be on the table for this generational difference in the workplace?
It's all going to be okay. There is a lot of changes throughout the workforce when it comes to different generations, but if you just kind of take that time to recognize who you're talking to, what generation they're from as compared to yours, and how to relate, then your days will go smoother. Set your own expectations and make sure that they have set expectations and what to expect from you, and your day will go a lot easier.
There we go. I would say that the good old days is that everybody remembers the good old days, and at some time in your life, you're going to have remembering those good old days like today. So just remember and treasure these moments.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing really is just, when you're talking, especially to your employees and, to your peers, look at who you're talking to. It's not about necessarily what you're talking about. You have to mold that to that person and just be respectful of how they, where they're professionally or their personal, how they were grown up. Like we said, we can't help it. It's the way that the world that we were put into at a certain time. So just have that sensitivity.
Excellent. Dave, Kim, Julia, and Chris, thank you also very much. This was enlightening. We appreciate it.
Can we get out?
Okay. Now I'm supposed to get out of the way.
Thank you so much to our panelists. Mike, thanks for getting the program going. And Chris, what a fantastic job. That was, we knew it was going to be great, but it was even better. So thank you so much. I'm sure everyone took something out of that today. So Chris is our expert, and Mike's looking for the next reason. You really could. Absolutely. So feel free to take your brochures home. As a reminder, on November 9th from 5 to 6:30 at the Engine House, the new place on Hook Road. It's gorgeous if you haven't been in there yet, but it's one of our after-hours networking events. We have our business education workshop on November 10th from 8 to 10 at the college, and that is Google My Business Profile Workshop. And then, as we had alluded to before, December 7th, we're going to be honoring Patty Bamba as our distinguished citizen. There's still tickets left. all great opportunities for networking, so make sure you bring your business cards, bring friends, and, let's find some more Julies out there, or Julies to join this Chamber of Commerce, because we need some more diversity and thought here. But today was inspiring, so thank you so very much, and have a great week.